9 panel members who have expressed opinion that the classification should remain a Class 3, and 9 panel members who have expressed opinion that we should classify each for schizophrenia. The panel is not unanimous, but the majority favors maintaining the device in Class 3. With regard to schizoaffective disorder, the consensus of the panel is that the classification of Class 3 be maintained, but the opinion is not unanimous. This is for schizophreniform disorders. The panel is in consensus and near unanimity that the classification of Class 3 be maintained. Catatonia, the panel does not have a consensus with regard to classification. While some panel members believe that the classification of Class 3 should be maintained, others have put forward that the appropriate studies to address this rare or relatively infrequent condition could be limited, such that the treatment, if effective, might be inappropriately restricted, such that it not be available for these patients.
Electroshock destroys memory. Okay. It wipes it out. And for the most part, no one really knows how precious and how priceless their memory is until they try to access it and it's not available.
Appreciate it. This is a winning thing. We won the decision not to reclassify.
I frankly did not expect there to be a vote that would come out as it did, which came out on almost every count. More people voting to keep it in Class 3 than to lower it to Class 2, and that made me feel great.
Our group challenging reclassification, knowing that electroshock is dangerous and ineffective, got basically 100% result in terms of all the non-industry people, convinced all of them that we were right on this. We won.
I am so happy that they have determined that they are going to remain Class 3 for...
ECT is nearing its end. It's very close to the end, and it's a great thing.
It's been an amazing effort on the part of a lot of people. I'm overwhelmed by the response. I just, wow. We don't get survivors, we don't get to testify. It was great that, to get people pouring their hearts out to these people. And I believe that's really what changed the tide. They had to put a human face on theory. Okay?
I was shocked, 50 insulin shocks and 10 ECTs against my will in 1961. And I knew they wouldn't pay close attention to what I said because it happened such a long time ago, but it turns out that there were several members of the panel who actually referred to my description of being tied, held down with no anesthesia, and he did mention that he would acknowledge that would have lifelong traumatizing effect. And that was one of the main points that I wanted to make, that what happened to me has had a lifelong traumatizing effect in terms of the memories of that being done to me against my will.
I got involved in this because of my own treatment and my unhappiness about what had happened to me. Much of my memory is gone. I felt that if I didn't do something now, that I was going to have to crawl into a hole somewhere and stay there. So I decided to get involved. I had to come. I had to speak up. They have to know the danger and the long-term effects of these treatments.
I was able to give testimony. This treatment is equivalent to dropping a 14-pound baby off a 10-foot high building, and it's also equivalent to 3 pistol slugs to the brain, and they want to make it not dangerous.
Almost to the person, the psychiatrists were the ones who voted to downgrade it to Class 2 because, of course, they give the shocks. They make the money from giving the shocks. And it could have been predicted, but it was very difficult to watch those guys vote as they do. It was actually the non-psychiatrists, the more humane members of the panel, who voted to keep it in class 3 because they frankly said that they're ready to see the evidence. And of course, there isn't the evidence.
This is the industry made the petition for the change, and it was denied today.
For the most part, it's very clear. You had the industry all voting to reclassify. You had everybody else in the panel looking at it from the point of view of scientific research, voting to keep the machines in class 3 as dangerous.
So where that leaves us right now is that unless there is some serious backpedaling as far as the FDA goes, it doesn't look like it's doable.
And the question is whether the actual FDA will pay any attention. And if in fact they don't pay attention, then we will know for sure that this was all a meaningless formality. And so the jury is still out.
The FDA does not have to take their advice, but if they don't, they're going to go down because they're putting political pressure on them. If the FDA follows through with this panel's recommendations, they're going to keep this as class 3. The industry is going to be required to submit a PMA, and our job is to make sure that it has to be a damn good one, because that means they can't do it. And this brings up the specter again of ECT going away. Lastly, the one last thing that they defended over and over again was coercion. Because we're talking around informed consent, and informed consent. When the possibility came up, well, let's have a separate talk here about forced ECT and coerced ECT, right? And the psychiatrists say no, ultimately no to real consent, right? Because they want to be able to declare people incompetent, and they want to have surrogate consent, right? And they just dodged that issue over and over and over again. And that is the dirty understory of psychiatry. It's about coercion and about the fact that they want to reserve the right to force and coerce. Of course, the main thing is the drug treatment with 1.5 million people a year. But there's a lot of forced ECT. And that came up because of the patient representative carers. We need to keep pushing that issue with them.
And let the FDA work on this. Let's get some more information, statistics. They will find that it is lifelong. Effects, damaging, memories gone forever.